Hello. Good evening. I'm just getting set up, folks. Actually, just to let you know, the picture of my stream might be pretty awful. It's because temperatures here are way below freezing. So it's pretty bad. I'm still trying to get set up. Johnny gave me like 10 minutes notice. No fault of his. It's just the way it is. And I'll explain all in just a minute. So please bear with me. We'll get going in just a minute, guys. Yeah, Beatrice is on time. And so it's just Bob and Stephen and Frank. You guys are here. That's fantastic. Apologies for the short notice, guys. I will reveal all in just a minute. James Hall is here and Chris as well. Excellent. So we're starting to file through. A few people, it's going to take a little while before everybody's here because, I think everybody will be going over to Johnny's channel and expecting the regular show from him. But not tonight, I'm afraid, guys. And there's a very good reason, which I'll come on to in just a moment. I'm just still trying to get everything organized here. And I've got my laptop over here, which has got the stream on it. It's a tiny bit behind everything else, but that's okay. Actually, you just need to set that to live chat rather than top chat. Click off that. Change that to live chat. There we go. Alrighty. Who else do we have in here? Bob Powell, my good friend Sean Aaron is here. Stereolab 62 is here. Oh, hang on, I'm just going to turn down the volume of my speakers so that I'm not getting any feedback. Ray Hunt is here. He says, thank you for hosting tonight. Yes, I'm hosting tonight at the last minute. James says, I hope all is well. Yeah, Johnny's okay. He's been down to the doctors today. He has flu, of all things. So he doesn't really have much of a speaking voice at all. So he asked me about 20 minutes ago if I could stand in for him. He was hoping to be fit. So he had a sleep this afternoon, your time. And he was hoping that he would be fit and well for tonight. But he just doesn't have much of a voice, unfortunately. So that's him away back to bed. I don't blame him at all. Lorenz is here. Awesome. So yeah, so it's just us tonight, guys. So I didn't really have anything planned because I wasn't expecting to be doing the show tonight, but I know Johnny was going to do something with cowbells. So maybe we can still do something with cowbells. But again, I'm not sure how well it's going to come across because atmospheric conditions here in Scotland are not particularly great. So the quality of the picture and audio is probably going to suffer a little bit more than it ordinarily does with my low bandwidth. So so we will try to do something that is going to be useful and helpful and is not going to be, completely messed up by the quality of my stream. Hopefully not. I'm just looking across at the laptop. It looks okay. It doesn't look too bad. So I'm hopeful that it looks okay to you guys and that the audio is good. JW Embry is here and Jammin J is here and Beatrice is here. So we've got a good number in. We've got 20 people in already, and we're only about 5 minutes in, which is good. So news has spread well. Excellent. So far, audio is and video is fine, says Just Bob. Cool. That's good. That's what I want. That's what I want to hear. I want to hear that audio is good. So yeah. So I think we're going to start off just taking your questions, and then we will see how many people actually get in here. And if we've got lots of people in here, then I think maybe we'll have some fun with some cowbells, seeing as that was what Jonny had in mind anyway. And tomorrow he can have even more fun with cowbells if he wants to. So we could do it, you know, kind of two-part. So I don't know exactly what fun he had in mind with cowbells, but you know, you could, I guess, you could kind of have an inappropriate context where a cowbell might get used. Like, for example, in a string quartet, a piece of chamber music. No, you're not going to have a cowbell there. Audio is great and video is very good. Okay, that's cool. That's what I like to hear. And yeah, it doesn't look too bad. Actually, it looks better than it normally does. So maybe we're hitting a good little patch with streaming here, which is good. I like that. So hopefully it's going to stay this good and it's not going to freeze too much. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So actually, I was actually preparing myself to be sitting back, kicking back in my studio, having done a day's work in here. And I was looking forward to actually just kicking back and watching Jonny play around with cowbells. So I'm quite surprised I find myself hosting the show. But hey, it is what it is, and that's cool. It's not a problem. All right. So we've got about 21 people in here. So I know Jonny does a beginner's tip and all of that. He has much better screen resolution than I do for streams, so I'm afraid you're not really going to get that too much here. I'm quite limited as to what I can do. As soon as I start putting too many things up on the screen, bandwidth just goes yunk, and it just doesn't look very good, and it doesn't sound very good either. And I don't want that. I want you guys to have a good experience, a useful experience on my streams until such time as I'm able to do higher resolution streams, which hopefully might actually not be too far away. I might actually hopefully be able to do much higher quality streams. I can't really give anything more away other than that at the moment because I don't want to speak out of turn. But hopefully that's all going to be set up. So let's take your questions, folks, and we'll make an educational show out of this, and maybe we'll play with some cowbells as we get on into the show. All right, 24 people here. Let's see what questions we have. Just Bob is in with the first one. He says, when you write a string arrangement and your volumes are all set, to make a volume burst at the end, would you need to bus all strings and automate? Is this correct? I'm not quite sure what you mean by volume burst. I think maybe you mean like a crescendo at the end where you make it go louder to the end. I probably would do that. I would probably automate the bus. Is probably what I would do. Unless I have like that, I would do that if it was a VST. But if I'm using real string players, real violin, real cello, real viola, real double bass, then if it's real people, then actually I would just write a crescendo in on the chart for them and just get them to actually perform that. And then I don't have to do any automation at all because they are going to do that for me by their performance. JW says, let's all try to outlie each other. You tell one and I'll try to top it, and then someone else can outlie me. Yeah. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see how we go. 24 people in here. So yeah, so I would if it's a VST instrument like the Presonus Symphonic Orchestra, actually on the Presonus Symphonic Orchestra, you can use the modulation wheel as a volume controller to some degree. So you can crescendo, you can diminuendo using the modulation wheel, which is very, very useful. So if you kind of like were to set that kind of in the middle and have it that way for like all of your song, all of your arrangement, then you could just increase the volume and then back it off or whatever you want to do using the modulation wheel. And hopefully should write that to Studio One and all would be well. And you wouldn't, again, that would be an option where you just wouldn't do any automation. You're just doing it with the modulation wheel on your keyboard, which actually I've just realized is slightly out of shot. You might not be able to see it. Okay. Did Jonny ever do an arpeggiator tutorial? I don't actually know, to be honest. I'm not sure whether he did or not. The arpeggiator is very cool. I'll grant you that. And I have used it. I used it to generate a guitar part, which I just could not play on my nice Ibanez guitar back there. Just couldn't play it. I just couldn't coordinate my fingers. I was trying to do this really fast little arpeggiated figure, and I was hitting the wrong strings. I was doing all that kind of stuff, and I just couldn't get it to happen. So yes, I did press the keys on here, and I set up the arpeggiator pattern that I wanted, and the arpeggiator did all the rest. So yes, it does work really well. Chris asks, if a string arrangement MIDI ends abruptly, what would you suggest for a reverb tail? Now that depends on the ambience of the rest of the song. If there is a lot of reverb in your song, then you probably want a reverb tail that is going to fit with that, with the overall reverb of the whole song. Like if you've kind of like got everything set so that you have a reverb so that it gives the impression that everything is in the whole, everything's in the same space, then yeah, you just go with the same tail for everything. But yeah, I would not make it too long, because you don't want to go bang and have this thing reverberating around for half an hour. Like it does actually if you stand under the dome of Westminster Cathedral in London, and I've done this, stand under the dome and clap your hand. It takes a full 8.5 seconds for the sound, the acoustical energy of that hand clap you made to dissipate completely. 8.5 seconds. So imagine doing that with your string orchestra, and you go jung, and it's just going to bang, and it's just going to reverberate around. So yeah, so you want to make sure that the tail is just not too ridiculously long. Have a play about with the tails on your reverb, and find something that fits with your song. It's one of those things that is kind of like, there is no generic answer to how long should my reverb tail be, but you want to have it not too long. So again, you're going to use your personal taste and judgment in the context of the song to do that. John Anderson is here. He says, just figured out the parties at Johnny's. Yes. Yeah, please pass the word on to other folk that you know who would ordinarily be here. Lowen says, so you're going to make one? I could do. Certainly could do. I don't think I've done one either. So if I will check Johnny's channel when I get off the stream here tonight, I'll check his channel and see if he's done one. If he hasn't, then I'll do one. I'll do a little 5-minute video that kind of goes, here, here's the arpeggiator. Here's cool things you can do with it. So that's cool. Jamie J says, play as a tune using the chords C major 7, A major 7, G major 7. Like to hear what you can put together. All right, just those 3 chords. See, I would turn that G major 7 into a G13. But yeah, we'll see. So no day in the life reverb tail. Yeah, it as I say, it depends. Unfortunately. Let's see what we got. C major 7. Something like that. Jammin' J, hope you like that. I kind of did add a few extra chords in there. Just kind of nothing major added really, just kind of like your C major 7. There's your A major 7, which I'm playing as an A major 7 with a 9 and a 6. So you've got root there, then you got the 6, 9, 3rd, 5, major 7. I just really like that voicing. And then I went A flat 13 sus down to the G13 sharp 11, D flat 13 sharp 11 to bring me back round to the C. And then I added another little passing chord as I went, which was this one here, B flat 13 sharp 11, no 3rd. So yeah, there's lots of things you can do with that. I mean, that would make a nice little R&B tune, and you could have like a rapper kind of rapping over that, and I don't know, maybe a drum loop by Nate Smith or something would just be perfect for that, with a little bit of fretless bass, some Fender Rhodes, nice bit of funky wah-wah guitar, maybe like a flugelhorn tenor sax horn section, something like that would go nice, and have your rapper, and then kind of like you'd have like a little 4-bar interlude between verses with this nice little bebop line on the flugelhorn and the tenor sax. That would be pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't have the Loop Loft Nate Smith package. I would love to get my hands on that, because it is really, really cool. Nate Smith, if you don't know who he is, go on YouTube and look him up. He has got to be one of the funkiest drummers around. Probably second only to Bernard Purdie in terms of total and utter funk. He is epic, and he's got serious chops to go with it. But yeah, he's an outstanding drummer, and he plays all sorts of different styles. I mean, he plays jazz, he plays hip hop, he plays drum and bass, he plays break beats, he plays out and out funk. He's really, really cool. Yeah, a little backbeat would be cool. Yes, absolutely. Now, see, if I had the bandwidth, you know what I would do? I'd just chuck open Studio One right now, and we just improvise a song in Studio One based out of those chord changes. But I don't, unfortunately. However, I could probably make a video out of it and just say, hey, this was a bunch of chord changes suggested in my live stream. Why don't we just, improvise a song out of it? I could do that. If that would be cool. Stephen Greenwood said he is a bad dude. Yes, Nate Smith is epic. I think I first heard him on a Mark Guiliana, I think his name is, Mark Guiliana record. And I was just like, oh my gosh. Absolutely outrageous, funky drumming. Chris says, do it. Dietrich says, yes, sir. And Jammin' J says, yes, that would work someday. Yeah, well, you know what? I could do it. Yeah, I could do that this week sometime. I'll maybe just chuck that together. Those chords are now in my brain, so they're there. Jammin' J, you don't have to worry about reminding me what the chord changes are. But that's a nice little set of changes. See, I would do that. Instead of going to the G, I would go C, A major, then A flat 13 sus 4 to D flat 11 sharp 11. Sorry, D flat 13 sharp 11. go. We've got a little melody line going there as well. Anything to do with chord choice and chord structure? Yeah, you're probably wondering how I came up with the idea of substituting two of those chords that Jammin' Jay suggested. So, yeah, we really are making this live stream up as we go along. I wrote a song using those chords, like the changes you're doing. Yeah, I've just substituted a couple, and I'll explain what I've done. So I've gone C to the A, and you were recommending I just go down to the G, which I could do. But I kind of thought, wouldn't it be better if we had a way to go back to the C major? So C, A, and then I thought A flat, because it's the 5 chord of D flat, and that's where I'm headed. And D flat substitutes for G7. And it substitutes for G7 because, and actually, even better substitute is the D flat 7 sharp 11, because the sharp 11 of D flat is a G, the 7 is the B, which is a G major chord. The third of the D flat chord is the F, which is the 7th of the G chord. So if I just play just those 3 notes there and put the G on the bottom, you get G7. If I change the bass note to D flat, see how that substitution works? JW says, when you're talking about Nate Smith, you're talking about the Nate Smith Drums Volume 1 at Loop Loft. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yep. I'd like to get his one. I'd like to get Matt Chamberlain's one as well. And I'd also like to get my hands on the Bob Reynolds saxophone loops bundle. Jammin' Jay says, yes, I can hear a very cool bass line with those chords. Yes, so the A flat leads nicely into the D flat, and the D flat substitute for G7, which leads you back to C. And that means you can just go round and round those chord changes, so pretty effortlessly. So that's where those little substitutions came in. Plus, also, they give you extra notes for improvisation as well. So we're kind of, havering is the word we'd use here. We're kind of havering between C major and D flat major with those chord changes, which gives you a nice little tension. So I could use for melody, I could use the C major Lydian. So instead of going a normal C major chord scale would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. That's a normal C major scale. The Lydian, instead of having the natural F, you sharp the F. So you go to the F sharp. Sounds a little bit weird. That would fit for most of this tune, but when we get to the A flat, I can use F minor pentatonic, and then for the D flat, I can use F diminished. Or you could refer to it as D flat Lydian dominant scale. So yeah, all good stuff. A lot of options. Dorian, yeah, Dorian mode would no, it wouldn't really fit because we're using so many major 7th chords. So you'd have to deal with maybe Lydian major scales. So yeah, so or Locrian sharp 11 would fit. There's a few different options there. So we've gone down to 22 people. That's probably because I'm talking about modes that most people don't understand. So yeah, sorry about that. Talking shop about scales, advanced scales and harmonies that most people are going way over my head. Yeah, sorry about that. Dietrich says the first two sounds like the beginning of Brian Cuthbertson's "The Color of Love." The entire CD is dedicated to his wife for 20 years. I'm not familiar with that record, I have to admit, so I can't comment on how those chord changes sound. All right, anyone got any other questions? Because we're coming up on 26 minutes past midnight, which would be 26 minutes into the show. 23 people in the room. C major 7 has the B on top. It can be on the top. The B can be on the bottom as well, like I have it voiced here. So there's the root, there's the major 7, 9, 3rd, and 5th on the top. Or I could have the flat 5, the sharp 11 rather, and the 13 on the top. So yeah, the B doesn't have to be on the top, although it can be, and it does sound pretty good. You could have that voicing for C major 7 with the 6, 9 in it. So you got there's your root, 6, 9, 3rd, 5, major 7. So yeah, different ways of skinning that particular cat. Stephen Greenwood says, JL, I'm mixing a drum track with a noticeable rattle from drum hardware. Any suggestions besides replacement? Okay, so the rattle is already recorded. Try and figure out where the rattle is coming from. And if it's coming from toms, maybe use a gate to kind of eliminate it. Depends how loud the rattle is. If it's really loud, then yes, it kind of limits you to how much compression you can use. If it's like obnoxiously loud. But if you're, you might find that if it's like rattle from your toms or something like that, or if it's just the snare wires just buzzing when you strike the tom, don't worry about that. If it's the snare wires when you hit the tom that's making the rattle of the snares, like, a little bit of sympathetic vibration, I wouldn't worry about that personally. But if you are worried about it, gate the tom so that you kind of get mostly the tom sound with just a little bit of the snare sympathetic vibrations mixed in. But you're going to get that with your overheads. Your overheads are going to hear that anyway. So snare buzzing when you're hitting the toms, really, to be honest, I leave alone. I don't worry about it because you know what? With everything else in the mix, you're not going to hear it. And to be honest, it sounds a lot more natural. Depends what kind of rattle it is. If it's, I don't know, you're striking a tom and one of the lugs is loose, or one of the nut boxes is worked loose, something like that, or the two rack-mounted toms on the bass drum are too close together, and when you strike one of the toms, it's just making the two kind of knock together. Well, yeah, you might have to do some drum replacement if that happens. Chris says parametric EQ to pinpoint the rattle. You're probably not going to find that with a parametric EQ because it's not necessarily going to be a specific frequency. It might be several, and you might find. All right, so it's a tom log. Okay, yeah, you might find that. I would go for solution number 1 being gate the tom. Now that might make your toms sound a little bit flat and a little bit cardboardy. So have a listen to how it sounds in the context of the whole mix, play the whole song where the drum fill is, and see how that sounds in context. And if you think, yeah, we get away with it because a lot of the tail is lost by, a lot of the tail of the tom sound gets buried by everything else, then I wouldn't worry about it too much. But if it's, if it's not, if it's the case that, in the context of the whole mix, you can still hear the whole flipping rattle, then and the gating is making the toms sound too flat and too kind of, too cardboardy, then the thing to do then, I would suggest, is maybe use a little bit of drum replacement just on the toms. But again, you might lose. What you will sacrifice is a little bit of the reality of the overall sound of the drum set from your overheads. That's the problem with drum replacement, is that the drum samples that you use were not recorded in the same space as the rest of the drum set. So you will have to use a little bit of jiggery pokery with reverb or something like that to try and make all of the drums, including the samples, sit in the same space. that will be your challenge. And also the fact that, you know, if it's just one tom that's causing the trouble and the other ones aren't causing the trouble, and you only replace one of them, and let's say the other ones give some sympathetic vibration with the snare, but that one doesn't, what you might have to do is take a sample of the sympathetic vibration of the snare from the snare mic and blend that in with your tom to get around that. So there are possibilities that you could try there to try and, you know, for want of a better expression, fix it in the mix. So yeah. Dietrich says, can you do the same for the paper sounding drums as well? I want drums to sound clear. Where's the jiggery button located? Yeah, I wish there was one. Can you do the same for paper sounding drums as well? I want drums to sound clear. When you mean paper, you mean they sound too thin? If it's a case of they sound too thin, then you probably want to add a little bit of low end into the EQ of those toms. Or if it's a case of they just sound a bit flat and a bit cardboard-like and a bit kind of like, you know, like they did in the early 1980s where toms were just like splat. If that's the sound that you've got, you're not going to be able to elongate the tail, unfortunately. If that's how it was recorded, you're stuck with it. So what you might do is you might blend in some samples. Keep the originals, keep them there, keep them in the mix, but blend in some samples of some toms that have got a longer tail. Try and match the pitch of the drums, and yeah, hopefully you might be able to, you know, create a bit of fake tail. It's entirely possible, and we've dropped down to 16 people watching, which is a bit of a shame. I hope I'm not that boring. But maybe a few people got turned off by me talking about modes and that kind of stuff. That really is only going to appeal to, you know, 1 or 2 people. You know, kind of all of that 13s and sharp 9s and sharp 11s and that stuff. That's not going to appeal to too many people. All right. We are 33 minutes into the show. Let's have some more questions, and we'll see where we go from here. And yeah, this is, as I say, completely unplanned show. I wasn't expecting to be doing a show, so I had nothing at all thought of. And I didn't even know how many people were going to get the message. So if necessary, we'll cut the show short, okay? It just depends upon how many people are in and how many questions are being asked. So anybody else with any more questions? Play a cowbell to bring them back. I like that, Jaren J. I like the humor. Alrighty. Let's see how much wiggle room we've got here. We might not have very much. Let's see. I might have to close down a few things here. Give me back some RAM because I'm running several tabs on Chrome as well. Sean Aaron asks, can we hear something in harmonic E minor? That's what I mainly play. Harmonic E minor. Stephen Greenwood says, if I switch to a Mac, is an S1 license transferable? Yes, it should be, because Studio One works on both platforms. And you have 5 activations for your one Studio One license. So yes, you should be able to, if you're switching to Mac, deactivate the activation that is being used for your PC, and then you should be able to just activate on your new Mac if you're going to switch to Mac. Why you'd want to do that, I don't know. I'm kidding. Just Bob says, I was looking for a keyboard sound in the VST Instruments Presence XT. The sound I was looking for is the Tom Petty sound in the song Don't Do Me Like That. I couldn't find. Is it available? You know what? I don't know that song, so I have no idea what kind of sound that was or what instrument that is that you're referring to. Was it a guitar sound? Was it a piano sound? I don't know. harmonica? I don't know. Sorry, guys. Can't really help there. But I'm going to try and see if I can get Studio One open without crashing my stream. Let's see how we go here. Okay, let's take a look at the stream. Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. Okay, I think I might be able to do this. Screen share, your entire screen share. Let's see. I'll call Ben Munt. I have his number. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, Chris. Sorry, mate. Just Bob says it is a keyboard sound. Okay. Yeah, there's lots of keyboard sounds. I really don't know. Jeremy J says, can I deactivate a license on a computer that I no longer have? Someone has the computer now. Yes. In fact, I would suggest you do exactly that, because somebody could be deactivating, somebody could be using your Studio One on that computer. Yes, you should have uninstalled Studio One from that computer, which would deactivate that the activation on that computer before you sold it. Ben Montench is the piano player for Tom Petty. Oh, right. You know him. Of course you do, Chris. Yeah, you know people like that. You could probably ask him and post it in the chat if he's able to get to you quickly. That would be cool. Let's see what we're going to do. What we're going to do. Let's see if we can find some cowbell. Probably in one of these percussion kits. I know there's like a few percussion kits here that we could have a play about with. Oh yes, I did create a Lipsham family drum kit, which just sounds that my kids made. Let's see if I can find one. If not, we'll have to make one. Yeah, no cowbell in this one, is there? All right, so we're probably going to go to... I'm going to remove this. Oh, I didn't remove the instrument, did I? So I'm going to have to now go to my mixer and remove the mixer. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Should have done that first time. Alrighty. Set that up so that's white. Okay. All right, let's go back up to instruments. Let's close impact. Let's go to presence. And let's find some percussion sounds and see what we can find. Probably going to be under Latin. And there's some Latin kits here, so let's see what we've got. Oh, I need to get my MIDI keyboard switched on. Okay, good thing I've got my laptop on. I can see what you guys are talking about in the chat. Okay, let's get the other keyboard on. Wait for the other keyboard to power up. It's an older keyboard, so it takes a little while. Okay. Let's monitor it. Let's see what we got. Now that sound there is very cool. That is the side of a timbale being struck with a stick, which is what you would do in samba music. Yes, you do play the open drums as well. You also play the side of the timbale as well. There's the other one. A couple of splashes there. Oh, some nice little mute splashes. The tambourine. Oh, that one's cool. That's the thumb being rubbed across the top of the head of a tambourine. Shaker being shaken. There we go, some cowbell. I'm sure we could reverse cowbell. We could do all sorts of things. Chris says, don't tell anyone. I created a drum kit from the Three Stooges Foley car. The slap makes a good snare. The punch in the stomach is the kick. It's our secret. Okay. Everybody on this stream are the only people that will know about that. But that's cool. So we could make some little, we can make a little Latin groove here. I'm going to slow this tempo down to about, let's see, maybe close that. Let's set this up for that. Okay. So, okay, that's a good little tempo. So let's find that. Let's play. Let's do some samba or mambo anyway. Nope, wrong sounds. My finger slipped. Let's try that again. Yeah, we'll do something like that. And of course, we can just tidy that up a little bit. And we can do Control A and Q. Oh, said Control A and Q. There we go. And I can probably loop record actually. And I can add to this. Oh, automation mode is on. Didn't want to do that. So I'm going to add that cowbell in again. What was it? Okay. I'm going to try that again. 2, 3, and. Okay, what else are we going to add into that? Something like that. I'll stick in a little, I'm going to duplicate this track. And I'm going to put in a little conga part underneath this. Yeah, something like that. Kind of something like that. Let's put that in. I'll take the leaf off of this. I'm actually going to do that again. Tidy up a bit. All right, lovely. Okay, let's go into this track. And let's just do Control A and Q. I'll do the same with this one. Control A and Q. Now we should have the beginnings of our little Latin tune. All right, so Steven says we should have a guiro in here, and I quite agree. Let's see if we can find that. Yeah, let's get that in there. Oops, wrong way around. Should have been that one. Should have been that one first. Nice. I think I actually played that one pretty much there. Yes, I did. That's very cool. Control A and Q. We're beginning to build this up. We need claves now, don't we? Okay, let's just loop that. Let's see. Let's find some claves. Need a shaker first. Yeah, shaker first. Okay, that's nice. Nearly running out of time for this. Oh, look at that. Absolutely nailed it. We have to do a thing there. All right, let's just stick that back on loop again. All right, what else? What else do we need to put in here? Claves, I said, didn't I? Let's see if we can find some claves. second. Let's see if I can find it. There we go, claves. There we go. We'll do this in, we could do this in 2-3 clave, or we could do this in 3-2. I'll show you the difference. So this would be 2-3. 3-2. What do we think? 3-2 or 2-3? So 2-3 is where you go 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, which is why it's called 2-3, because you start with 2 beats and then 3. It's 2 notes and then 3, or you could do it the other way around. Dun, 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 dun. So what do we think? Cliff says, Stephen says 2-3. Okay, we'll do it 2-3. Nice. So we're beginning to build up our nice little pattern here. Control A and Q. This is how you have fun with not just cowbells, folks, but a whole percussion set. Okay, so we've got a reasonable amount of percussion set in here now. What I might just do is get some bass going on in here. I could plug my fretless in, but that would take some time. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to stick in another presence, and I'm going to go bass. Let's see. Should we go for some fretless full? Yeah, I think we'll go fretless full. We'll just need to transpose that down the octave. So we could, I don't know. Something like that. Why not? We'll just vamp on the one chord, I think. There we go. And I'm just going to cut that last note. There we go. And I'm going to have to go in and delete this note here as well. This guy here. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to go there. We're going to go Control A and Q. And let's see what we got. All together. More cowbell, please. Love it. What else we got? Tune your bongos. Bass clavinet. Bass kind of sounds like the sound windy, Really? Okay. Don't know what you mean by that. Alrighty, let's maybe stick in some piano, which I'm going to color completely different to everything else. I'm going to make it bright yellow. And we're going to go with, what's my input? Right. Input right. We've got a couple of minutes left of the show, folks, so we'll finish probably with this. I'll take monitoring off because I don't need it on. Let's see. Little some Montuno part like that might be quite nice. Okay, I'm going to actually change that. I've actually thought of a better pattern, so I'm going to do that again. There we go. I'll probably have to bring up the volume of that a little bit. Let's see what we got. And of course, we could actually just do that a lot faster, because at the moment it's a little bit plodding. So I quite like the fact that we've got all of those percussion tracks in, but let's take the tempo up just to finish the show off with, let's actually see if I can actually play this, shall we, at this tempo? Let's go even faster. Let's go to 160. Let's see if I can play this. Oh, we can do that. We can do that. Let's take the loop off. Cool. There we go. I think we got it. We've got our little loop. Sean Aaron wants me to go up to 300. All right. What the heck? Why not? Let's see if I can do it. I'm going to delete the piano track because I want to see if I can actually play it at 300. Let's have a look. I maybe need to give myself a bit of a longer count in though. Yeah, we're going up, we're going up, we're going up. Let's see, 300. Because that's going to be seriously fast. Let's try that. Yeah, maybe not. I'll drop it down to, that sounds a bit silly at that tempo. I'll concede to maybe 200. Alrighty, so let's try the Son Montuno part at 200 beats a minute. And then we'll maybe wrap it up around about here. Let's see. I might be able to do this. He says messing it up totally. Let's try again. There we go. Okay, and we'll loop that as well. We'll see what that's like. All right, I think that sounds utterly crazy. And yes, I could add guitar. I could add maybe some acoustic guitar in there, playing a nice little. I could do something like that. I could also stick in some trumpet as well. We could have some nice high note, like a nice high note trumpet solo. You know, something like, I don't know if you've heard this kind of salsa style of trumpet playing. Let's see, brass, trumpet. Let's see. I don't know if you guys have actually heard this kind of style of trumpet playing that I'm talking about. You might have. I'm not really sure. I don't even know if I can actually fake it. It might sound hideous, but you never know. You know, that kind of style of trumpet playing would be pretty cool. But yeah, okay, so there we go. We've had a little bit more than just a little bit of fun with some cowbells. We've actually done pretty much a whole kind of 4-bar salsa pattern. And I've not really explained what I was doing as I went there. I was just layering up parts that I knew were relatively authentic. So we had the 3-2 clave going on. Oh, sorry, it wasn't actually 3-2. It was 2-3. I think we did in the end, wasn't it? And then the bass kind of playing that going up to the ninth of the chord instead of, you know, instead of going up to the octave. which is, you know, going up to the ninth is fairly typical that you get in kind of more jazz orientated salsa music. And then the piano style of playing in like octaves or 2 octaves apart. That kind of style is known as son montuno. And it's basically like instead of the piano playing which, you know, you might get, the son montuno thing is meant to kind of like not only suggest the harmonic structure of the song, but also provide counter melody to whoever's singing over the top of such a little vamp. And quite often what you'll find is that chord changes are actually relatively simple in salsa music. It's usually based around a 2, 5, and then 1. And then you maybe go around the cycle of fifths for like the bridge section, and you come back to this D minor, G7, C kind of set of chord changes. And that's pretty much how it would go. That ninth interval was kind of weird against the bass. Yeah, well, the ninth interval, that was in the bass. That was the bass that was playing that. And so the piano was playing, basically playing between a C major triad and a G. So you're getting, so you're probably getting a G over D at least a little bit. So, and maybe a little bit of G over C. It was just the fifth of the chord, essentially, in the bass, but it's so passing that you probably don't really notice it that much. ¿Dónde está mi sombrero? ¿Su sombrero es en cuarto de baño? No lo sé, señor. It's on your cabeza, says Chris. Yes, absolutely. All right, so there we go. So Deirdre says that actually sounds pretty good. Yeah, not bad for a little thrown together, improvised little son montuno thing. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen now. And we'll go back to normal chat mode. And I will say thanks a lot, folks, for coming out to my very roughly roundy-edged improvised version of the HST live stream with me instead of Johnny Guive. So I hope you guys had fun. And I know we kind of started out with about 24 or so people, and then we dropped down to about 14, maybe because people realized that it was me and not Johnny doing the show. So, you know, it is what it is. But that's okay. Chris says, ¿Dónde está tu tequila? No beber tequila, señor. Tengo una taza de té. Sí. Hablo español. Muy bien. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed it, and I can maybe unpack a little bit more about salsa and son montuno in another show when we maybe do Latin styles with Johnny or something. All right, guys. So I hope you had a lot of fun. I just realized I've just piddled about with the faders in Studio One quite unintentionally because I wasn't paying any attention to what I was doing. What's going on here? Oh, I know why. There we go. Okay, sorry. I'm distracted. Sorry. I'm not paying any attention to what I'm doing. It's 1:10 in the morning. All right, so Frank says, interesting night. Deirdre says, thanks, you guys are awesome. Terrific show. Best wishes to JG. Yes, guys, be thinking of Johnny as he recovers from his flu. So stay tuned. Keep an eye out for stay tuned on the Home Studio Trainer Facebook page because it might be me again tomorrow. It might not be. We'll have to see. Or it might be somebody else. I don't know. we'll have to see what Jonny decides. He might decide that he's fit enough to do a show. But if he needs the rest, then he needs the rest. And you know what? It might well be that there might not be a show tomorrow. And that's okay. It's absolutely okay for there not to be a show tomorrow. Okay. All right, guys. Have a really cool evening. And I will see you all around sometime soon, probably at Songwriting Simplified on Wednesday if Jonny is fit and healthy enough. If he's not, then I will definitely do the show on Wednesday. Okay, and I will do Songwriting Simplified on my own, and that'll be cool as well. All right, folks, so take care and enjoy your evening. Good night.